to gain some meters. They get it out. High pass, just out of reach. Oh, a nice slide in.
First. Fantasy speed.
And then another. Well, Warren's. Penalty awarded to CRC. Zarko. Oh, yeah, no one supporting him. Up the ball, Zeus. And it's stopped by Arlington.
Nice hard run by Chef the team. CRC's ball. They've stolen it. Oh, beautiful catch by Frost. Beautiful pass by Frost out to Fernandez. Bit low, but it was great distance. Fernandez is going to get it off to Mullins. Mullins stepping, sliding, and gliding. Runs into contact, gives it off to Kano. Down. CRC with the ball. They're about to 25. Hard, dominant run there from Relano.
Forward seats defense slowly kind of breaking down. Wellington doing those passive tackles. Just like I say, it's just an active tackle right there. Oh, it's too.
Oh, Thorndike blew Medina up. He didn't even have the ball. Now Arlington's hitting the rug bar. Penalty.
Definitely see the tackle play. Looks like
He left. Gives it off to Echeverria. Here goes Cross at the goal line. Is he in? He's in.
from Mari Cross.
Willing his team forward with nothing more than his will and his athleticism. Yeah, stickability, athleticism.
He's got all that good stuff. But he scored 39 to 34.
And CRC, they're playing great right now, but I wonder how the clock is going to be their friend or not. Because time is running out here on the Berserkers. They're playing great right now. They've got Arlington on the back foot. All right, Jake, are you good? No, I don't know his talk, actually, but I think it was good. 36, 39. 5 minutes.
Wow, that's right. It was a 3-point game. 3-point game with about 5 minutes left on the clock. This is these turns into a nail biter.
Who would have guessed?
Stop throwing. John,
I know what you
Coming back in. Razar.
come on, Red! You're gonna give it back?
I'll give you another SD.
Sure. And here's the kick with Thorndike. Right to Kamari Cross. Simon's in his hands. Oh! Chris Lennox! Like in 1966.
Very Cross brought down by who else? Batman Thorndike. Thorndike stuck in Cross. Good clear out there from CRC.
That's better for Ward there. Here's a good run. And some aggressive running as the stakes begin to get higher.
Ball comes out. Robinson rumbling down the field. He's still up.
So,
Long pass to Fernandez. Oh, he knocked it forward. It's taken by Kim. Offload to Dixon. Dixon's still on his feet.
Please.
And 9 comes off.
Nixon kind of looks like he opened his mouth kind of wide.
Sir! I know that advantage.
General going to the field. Well, yeah, that was a series of plays. It was bound. The pass was a bit too high and it bounced down. And Arlington got the steal.
Yeah, great play by Kim. Almost had the heads up. Most players probably would have hit Rodriguez in the air, but he didn't. Rodriguez dropped the ball forward. Probably saw Kim in his peripheral. He can't even hit that ball down.
There's the red.
Red card.
It says no signal. Wow. That was the second yellow. He had one in the yellow in the first half. So after 2 yellows, it's
okay, that's good.
So he's out the field for the rest of the Oh, that's
Wait, it says this thing over in it. Talk about it. How great for the berserkers. I mean, they had they have all the levels. Literally, also each one. Right? A tiny long time goes back. Under 5 minutes to go in the championship game, down by 3. Arlington. It's not like
and
like a watching stuff.
so white. Like one that's display and stuff like that. Yeah, that's white. Also,
Well, it's a asterisk and it's Ashes coming.
Yeah, what's up? I have to take photos. Yep. It'll be Arlington Hall. That's we suspected. Thorndike. Thanks. That I thanks forward. That's just for your dad.
Arlington's just gonna want to possess the ball.
No one's in the floor, man.
5 minutes.
Let's try playing though. Just quick.
Defense up though with their CRT defense, very aggressive. They hit very hard. Nice, clear off. By Arlington. One guy, long pass outside. Down the back line. Nice tackle outside.
Well, the lowest tackle on the play. Also said that the Cobras have 1 to 10. Hey, that's all I have. Sweeping down.
Yeah. But anything that sees is on the X. Like,
Lord.
Shabba, this one's too. And even sitting on the CRT, not 10%. And they'll have the lead. Mari Cross, let's see what he can do. He's still on his feet.
Oh, but can you see it from close? I stand up.
Down, Robinson.
Hands. You're not gonna jump through bad passes like that.
Sideline, beautiful pass to Mullen. Cut inside. Mullen can't get it off. He does now.
Here's hard.
That's it right now. Just wait to take everything. Vagina on the outside. What a pass by Kilo. He's going to tip it.
So, I'm on Josh. It was actually, but it's still in color. Watch it say that function from the big battery. That was never a battery. So,
Would that shut off? Needed a question. He just. In a game like this, every little pass hurts. Actually, it's from they're playing to a pretty balance.
Aaron, you'll, I'm just feeling on the top.
Bowled by CRT. It's CRT ball.
And it's still calling. Not just in here to show what someone's going to do again.
Let's give ourselves a chance to win it.
Fine. Set. Don't like put it in. Or put it in. And really just push CR. Okay.
Hornet gets it out though. On the outside, here they go. Thanks.
Just do like just no, I know just straight up like. So mission takes balance. It's
Same session to play.
that's just yeah.
That's
Just takes in. But the hurt shot. It's a very.
Jay, are you ready? They never did. They were down by, what was it, 14?
Yeah.
No matter what balance they did, they were never just said no. We're looking at the top and cut off. Okay? And rest of the camera. Are going to come away. So just make sure you don't have camera. Race change.
Let's get a great day, and congratulations to the state champions, Harley Stallions, the runners up. CRC Berserkers. Yeah, I know the kids are next player, otherwise at home.
Trying to go to the back end. Like it's out of
I'm also a parent. Get rid of these. The million blacks. Oh, yeah.
Will, this headset connected to that computer.
No.
Okay, so can I use?
No, wait, no, that's no. Those.
Oh. It's not good.
All right.
So,
This one.
yeah, Oscar changed. Yeah, this one. It's right there. It's right there. Now, what do you feel like?
Oh, Malachi, TV broadcast. Station.
Good right. Good right. Good right. Good.
State champ.
Get the line. Get the line. Get the line. Up, up, up. Go third. Go right. Keep the line. Work it. Good.
I'm just gonna stand up.
Good.
It's not Naperville.
Keep the line. One in.
Elijah. Elijah, is this a championship game that's going on right now? This right here. Is that green? Green Naperville? Yeah, it is. Naperville's name. All right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Naperville versus the Cobras game, the U15 championship game from middle school. Sorry that's a little bit late. It's already been going on for a little bit, but there was a bit of a technical difficulty with the sound equipment. Anyways, it's been a pretty exciting first part of the game. There's been a lot of really great tackles and lots of really fast running. It's a really fast-paced game, a lot better than I really was expecting from most of the middle school games that I've seen. So we have a great run right now with the number 5 going into contact. There's been really great tackles, really high quality rugby. The defensive line does a pretty good job of stopping the runs. You know, right now you can see that it is a little bit clumped up on the left side of the field, but they're doing a pretty good job shifting down and stopping the players. It's a bit of a passive tackle, but they are forcing him towards touch. Keep in mind, once again, that the orange lines, the faint orange lines on the outside are the touch lines for the out-of-bound lines. Anyways, it's pretty good rugby, but it looks like it'll go back to the advantage. In from the side, the Sir will call. Usually I am broadcasting with Elijah Hall, but right now he's doing a high school game with Joseph Mackin, so it'll just be myself this time. Anyways, with the penalty, it looks like they'll go for a quick tap, and then they'll give it to the prop for a forward crash. He brings it in. It looks like he'll cut to ground. He probably could have made it a little bit farther, but he does decide to eventually they'll pass it out to another forward crash, make a couple meters. They'll get it out. A bit of a fumble forward. It looks like Naperville won't be able to get a handle on it quite as soon as they might have. And it looks like the Cobras will retain possession, but then a penalty will be given. It looks like they're going to go in for a scrum. All right, a word from the Sir. Looks like he's just making sure that this is a solid scrum. Looks like they're all ready. They crouch. There's a bind and a set. It looks like the scrums are going to be uncontested with this tournament. And Naperville will bring it out the back. They get it down their back line. They're going, although the Cobras go in for a nice tackle. Now Naperville is definitely going to have to try to get it out of their territory. They're within their 22 right now, and that's never a good position on the field. Rugby is definitely a territory game. You want to, even if you're on defense, you want to be in the other team's territory. Anyways, it looks like the Cobras will go and touch it down, but there will be an offsides call before the try was placed, so it'll go back. All right, the Cobras go back 10, getting ready to receive, and Naperville kicks it off. Sorry, that wasn't an offsides call. That was a 22-meter drop. They'll kick it out, and it will be Looks like both teams are doing a pretty good job keeping the ball right there. The Cobras are being pretty aggressive with their offense and really smashing it in, trying to keep it there, while Naperville is doing a great job with their defense and holding the ball there, really not letting anything get past. Anyways, there'll be another scrum, uncontested once again. So the Cobras will scoop it out the back, and there'll be an 8-man pick. He'll come off on the right side, but then it looks like he'll be forced back, and so he offloads. And there's oh no, he doesn't offload. It's the 8-man going in, and he brings it in and touches it down, but the penalty had been whistled before, and it looks like it'll be an obstruction call against the Cobras. In rugby, there's no pads, and you're not supposed to block for one of your teammates. So you can't use yourself as a shield for the ball carrier. You have to plant yourself and then make sure that the ball carrier isn't using you as a pillar. Anyways, Naperville will take the ball and they'll run it through. They're going. He makes quite a few meters before he's finally tackled down by the Cobras. But the Cobras will jackal the ball. Anyways, they get the ball and they'll kick it off. The 15 will try to keep a hold on it, but it'll go into touch anyways.
Probably office. Yeah, that's weird.
It looks like the lineout will be going to Naperville. Both teams are setting up. All right, it goes. Naperville receives, and it looks like they'll go straight in for the maul, but then finally it does turn into a tackle, and they go down. Looks like the 5 will opt for a forward crash, but then he'll offload it, and they'll get a kickoff, which the Cobras will then receive, and it takes 1, 2 to finally bring him down. Looks like Naperville's done a great job trying to take up that territory. He's definitely moving. They're moving. The Cobras will have possession of the ball, but the Naperville is definitely in a good position on the field. All right, that's a solid rucking from the Cobras. They pass it off, but it looks like there will be a knock. Advantage to Naperville. And with the second knock, it'll go back to the first one. Advantage, so there'll be a scrum near the 5-meter line. With middle school rugby, there's definitely a lot more integration because a lot of the athletes are around the same size. There really isn't a much size difference between the forwards and the back, so they do a really great job of integrating the forward crashes, running some of your bigger guys in, forcing defenders to attack you and commit to you, and then that'll open up a hole in their defensive line for your back line to run through, make holes and then take them, use that opportunity. Anyways, it's a good tackle against Naperville. So they'll keep the ball and they'll pass it out. Looks like they're going to crash it through after one pass. Another pass to the 10. They get it out to their 13. Although it looks like the Cobras are not going to let him down. They're struggling, trying to force him backwards. They're going. It's another tackle. It's ruck over. Naperville gets it, but there's a fast tackle out by the Cobras. They'll bring the Naperville ball carrier down really fast after that pass out from the ruck. Anyways, we got some pretty strong counter rucking going on the opposite side of the field. They're going. Looks like the 12 will take it. He'll try to run it in. Can't quite make it, but he's brought down. Give it off to the 5. The 5 will pass out to the wing. The wing will get a good step, and then he's finally brought down by the Cobras. The 6 gets it. He tries to run in, but there's a double tackle, and he get brought down. Gets to the 10. The 10 gets it off to the 1. The prop, he runs it. He's going pretty fast. He looks like he tries to offload it, but he doesn't, and then he touches it down for the try. there were quite a few phases there, and it was all pretty much in the Cobras 22. So Naperville is definitely doing a good job getting the ball back and forth, and then opening up the Cobras' defensive line, trying to see if they can't shift them over and then make some holes that they could then exploit, which they did a great job with, using their forwards crashing, making those holes, using those holes, getting it forward. They definitely did a great job using that scrum that they were awarded off of the knock-on. They didn't lose that. It's definitely a solid game right now. And the score tied up 5-5. One try, one try. It's definitely a difficult kick for Naperville to be attempting. Not even the pros make very high percentage of this. And it was a good kick, but just a little bit too short. Not quite enough power behind that boot. And the Cobras will bring it up and prepare to kick it back off to Naperville. Yeah, with high school, because rugby is such a reward system game where if you score, then you get the ball back off the kickoff. A lot of times, one team will just retain possession and then score and score and score until there's a mistake. But at this level of rugby, there are a lot of turnovers and lots of opportunities for both teams to score and really make something happen. Anyways, Cobras give it to one of their bigger athletes, takes it in, and finally gets taken down, but they finally pass it off. Another good tackle from the winger from Naperville. All right, then scrum half takes it, whips it down the back line. Looks like they're doing a good job to get it all the way down to the end. The 13 takes it in. He's a fast man. He's bringing it down, and he'll place it down for an easy try. Only a couple of phases and already a try, so Cobras are definitely coming back with a vengeance from that earlier try. They're definitely going to start hitting this hard. They're definitely enjoying themselves now. Not too many mistakes. The scrums that do happen. It's usually when people are kind of trying to go too fast and they're trying to whip off the passes. But the Cobras did a good job of moving and then making sure that their pass was there. And it turned out well. 4 passes later in the 13, the outside center really brings it in great for a quick try there. Here's a slightly easier kick for the Cobras to make. Hopefully this conversion will go in. The score right now is Cobras at 10, Naperville at 5. And he'll kick it through the uprights for the conversion, bringing the score up 12-5. All right, they'll bring it back. Definitely looks like this game it's a very well-matched game. There's a lot of back and forth, lots of great runs. Although the defense is pretty aggressive. Looks like there's been a couple poaches for both teams, so both teams are doing a great job really keeping the ball moving. They're not getting locked in too much stalemate. Naperville prepares to kick off. It looks like the Cobras are still kind of trying to set up, trying to figure out how they're going to receive. Takes a little bit. Looks like still some questions. The sir is going to walk over and talk with his AR, his assistant ref. It looks like a substitute will be going in for the Cobras. Anyways, the kickoff is up and it comes down. Looks like they're going to do one of those dummy switch passes. He runs one way, passes the other. Looks like there's some pretty good handles on this guy. He's cutting back and forth. He's going towards the touchline, but he is eventually forced out. Loses the ball into touch. Once again, the ball will go into touch, and there'll be a line out for the Naperville. Haven't really seen too many lineouts this game, but both teams seem pretty solid. Anyways, the thrower prepares. It's not a contested lineout, but they do a great job. They receive it. The ball was pretty straight. They get it in, and Cobra goes in fast for a tackle right off the bat, really forcing 5 meters there. And they poach the ball, and they'll take it, although there's a bit of a fumbled pass. Naperville will take it, although the whistle will go, and the ball will be called back. All right, they'll walk up to the mark. Looks like there'll be a scrum to the Cobras. With these uncontested scrums, definitely gives the offensive team a great chance to really turn things around. You know, the Naperville had just made several meters, but when it's called back like this, the Cobras really have a chance to whip it down their back line. Their back line has great depth right here. They'd have a great chance to pass it out and then really attack the Naperville defense. You know, really with a lot of speed, and then try to hit any gaps that they can see at pace, which is really what you need if you're going to try to break through. And they get it to the fly half, who gets it to the 12. He stops, but he gets it to the wing. He's a quick man. He gets a step off, but then he offloads it to the 15, who will take it into contact. Looks like Naperville tries to strip the ball, but eventually just goes for the tackle, and he brings him down. The scrum half gets it off. Looks like the 12 is going to try to get a crash in there. He goes. It takes him a while, but eventually he's brought down as a passive tackle. He does make several meters before finally going down. The 6 will go in for a crash. Takes 1, 2, 3 people to finally bring him down. It looks like there'll be another penalty on the field. Looks like the sir will be discussing the penalty with both sides. You know, at this level, a lot of it is developmental. You know, learning the game, really getting the basics down, so that when you can play on the next level, um, you can really play that really hard, really fast rugby. And it's much better if you just have the foundation. So the sirs will definitely be a lot more picky and explanatory about all the rules. Anyways, the Cobras get it off. The scrum half sees a hole. He runs forward, drifts down half the field, goes in. He's finally brought down, just shy of the try zone. Anyways, there'll be yet another call. Looks like it'll be a drop kick. Anyways, they all set up. It's kind of difficult to see from down here what the sir is signaling with his hand, what the call was. But anyways, they kick it off. The 10 will receive. He brings it in fast, breaks through one tackle, finally brings it down. And there's a try called and awarded. Naperville does a great job of getting under the ball carrier and forcing a held up try, really keeping the Cobras, who are devastatingly fast when they're going into contact. They bring it in fast. They see the holes and they like to break through tackles. But if you can just stop them and then get under them, even if they do make it into the try zone, you can stop that try and you get the drop kick to restart the play and get a little bit of a breathing room. It'll be a very difficult kick for the number 11 for the Cobras to make. Definitely a hard kick way out here on the side. The Cobras are definitely, picking up speed now. They're doing a great job of offloading and keeping things moving. And even when they lose the ball, they do a pretty good job of, getting it back from poaches off of rucks and counter rucks. Anyways, the kick is no good, which will bring the score to 17-5. Cobras are up. Naperville is definitely going to have to start bringing on the heat if they want to come back. It's a 12-point deficit right now. Although the way that they've been playing just for like these first couple of minutes definitely shows that they can definitely make a swing in this. They're both very fast teams, and they can both definitely have an outcome that perhaps somebody else didn't expect. Anyways, Naperville brings it back up to the 50, ready for the kickoff. You have to bounce down, just make sure that it's going right. and he opts for the grubber to see if they can't run up and then force an early tackle. And there is one right about the 43-meter line. And there's strong rucking and counter-rucking from both sides. Naperville will take the pick and go, but they're forced into touch right past the 40-meter line. So it'll be a line out to the Cobras.
Yeah, just an amazing run there.
Looks like Naperville, even defensively, they're doing a pretty good job of forcing the Cobras back. Although the Cobras, once again, they're good at breaking through. But it is a possession game. It's a territory game. So if they can hold on here and force the ball down, the chances are that they'll be able to get the ball back and then make something happen with much fewer meters to have to make up for a try. Anyways, Naperville gets it. They pass it down. They're going out. Forward crash. Good offload to the 12, a little bit high, but 12 can retain possession of it. There's a tackle. He's brought down. The 13 tries to go in for the support, but the Cobras are a little bit too fast. Their counter-rucking is very good. They go in. Collapsing the ruck. He couldn't support his own weight. So when he dove in, the ruck collapsed, and the Naperville team will be receiving a penalty for it. Looks like he didn't kick it through the mark. You have to force the ball through the point of the penalty before you can run it with the 10-meter advantage against the other team. Anyways, he forces it through this time. And the Cobras come up very quickly with a nice tackle right off the bat. Not very many meters made at all, but Naperville will swing it out to the side. They just make it to the gain line, but there is a scrum called, bit of a knock-on off of that pass. Anyways, everybody's getting set up. Taking a while for the scrum. Looks like number 17 for Naperville is subbing in. Anyways, the scrum goes in, they crouch, and they bind. The ball is fed into the tunnel. The Cobras retain possession of it. It comes out the back. It looks like the scrum half will pass it out to the back line. It's a good step there. He breaks it through one. He goes past. It looks like the 7 for Naperville is going to try to tackle him, but he can't quite get his hands on him. And he's going down. He's gone. Almost. He goes in. And he's going to easy peasy walk into the middle of the try zone, place it down for a try. Looks like the Cobras are really keeping control of the ball this game. They're really keeping the pace of this competition really in their favor. The Cobras are doing a great job with running, and they're just a really fast team. Naperville is their defense is good, but once the Cobras try to break through, and once they do make that breakthrough, it is difficult for them to catch up from behind. They're not doing great with their from behind the tackles. Catching up is just difficult, especially once he gets past you. It's hard to try to make yourself just keep running. It's super easy to just tell yourself that he's already gone. Anyways, it'll be a much easier kick this time for the Cobras. He sends it up. It goes through, and it's good.
It's the card reader and a card.
And the score will now come to 24 Cobras, Naperville 5. This is quite the game for the Cobras right now. They're probably pretty psyched. They're they've been playing pretty good rugby. Lots of great passes, and then great field IQ. They definitely have some star players out there that can definitely see where they need to go, and they can see the space, and they definitely do a great job filling it. Naperville brings it once more up to the 50. And they try the grubber pass again. It looks like there's a bit of a knock-on advantage given to Naperville. They're brought to ground. Looks like they'll try the back line again. pass it down to the 13. It's going to pass it off. It's a little bit high, but they can retain possession of it. The 14 is brought down. And there's some aggressive counter-rucking from the Cobras. Looks like a little bit of hands in, but the 8-man will take it, and he'll go. Looks like the opposing 6 tries to get him, but he'll place it down for the try. Back-to-back tries really aren't good for Naperville. They're definitely looking like they're slowing down. It's probably getting a little bit harder to keep going like this. So once the half hits, it'll definitely be interesting to see what each team says what they need to work on. Naperville definitely they have to hit that defense, make sure that their defense is shifting as a unit. Staying as a line, not letting one half of their line try to shoot up and then attack the ball, and then leaving a hole open for the Cobras to exploit like they've been doing. As the 13 will set up the kick. As the 13 approaches, kicks it, goes up, and it's just short. It could have made it, but once again, the boot not quite strong enough. Although, it's not that too bad because even professionals, they only make those 67% of the time. So, it's pretty impressive that he could even make the ball that far. It's definitely very impressive. It looks like that particular player, the 13 for the Cobras, definitely could have a career in serious rugby ahead of him. Once again, the kickoff. They don't grubber it this time. They get it up. Although it looks like the Cobras are really going to hit it hard right off the bat. The 12 is going to receive it, and he's going to go. He's going to cut through 1, 2, 3 passes. Smashes another one of the Naperville. And he's finally brought down by 2 more. The scrum half for the Cobras will pass it out to the 8-man. He kind of drifts a little bit, but he's finally brought down. Makes a couple of meters. Usually it's best to just run straight into contact and then make it that way. If you start drifting, then you're kind of taking up more space on the field than you should be. And a lot of times it's really easy to either get forced back or even forced into touch if you go too far. Anyways, the sir will pause the play and get a chat in with some of the Cobras and the Naperville players. And there'll be a scrum. Surprisingly, you'd expect that on the middle school level, there would be a lot more scrums and kind of a lot more mess ups. But really, there haven't been any more scrums in this game than in the high school Division II game that I just broadcasted. So that's really a good sign for these players. They could definitely become phenomenal rugby players later on. Anyways, Naperville gets it. They pass it back to their 12. He brings it in strongly into the line. It looks like a not releasing the tackled player. The tackler has to release the ball carrier and try to roll away. He can't trap the ball carrier just for safety reasons. Anyways, that's a back 10 penalty. Naperville will take advantage of that, run it straight in. The 8-man will try a crash. Looks like they'll get it down the back line. A little bit of a high pass, but they can retain possession of it. They're getting it down. It's going. Naperville is coming up with stiff competition against the Cobras with these rucking. The rucking game is definitely pretty brutal this game. That was a good kick. Nice and high. Deep, gets it right past the 50. It's caught by the Cobras. The 15 passes it off to the 13. But the serve with a bit of a penalty, and with that, the first half will be called. With both teams walking to their respective sides, all you can really see is that there's been a lot of really great rugby right now. This game has got a lot of quick runs and a lot of pretty solid tackles and running, and even the field IQ is pretty amazing with the kicks and great positioning. You can definitely see it's definitely a step down from high school rugby, but that's to be expected. But then also it's a lot better than I really was expecting to see, and I can definitely see a lot of these players for the Cobras, especially the 15 and the 12. definitely have a lot of potential. They're doing a really great job. But even for Naperville, they've got a lot of really great players, and they're definitely playing really well as a team. Although Naperville is definitely going to have to try to see if they can't step up their defense just a little bit, and then really try to run it hard this second half. See if they can't catch up with Cobras. Anyways, it'll be the halftime for a couple minutes, and I'll be back in a few.
Go, boys. Hey, communicate back. No blocking.
All right, that was a pretty short halftime, but anyways, welcome back to the Naperville versus Cobras under 15 championship game. I'm Malachi Martin, and this rugby game has been I guess this entire tournament, this finals tournament for Rugby Illinois has really been kind of eye-opening for me. Um, I kind of expected a lot of the other leagues like Division 2 for boys high school rugby and even middle school rugby. I thought it was going to be a lot different, but I've really been surprised and kind of amazed by the quality of rugby that I've been seeing. Um, even right now, the Cobras have really been dominating on this field. Lots of great runs that I really only expected to see in high school rugby, and really only like good rugby, like really excellent, well-known rugby programs at that. But there's just been like really great rugby, lots of great reading of the field. The Cobras do a great job of seeing space and then using the space. Um, Running through the defensive line, seeing holes and then running through it, and then even creating opportunities for themselves. Using forward crashes to draw in defenders, and then use the back line to exploit any holes that their forward crashes could have created. It's really great to see that from the Cobras. Naperville is lagging behind a little bit. by 24 points, which is pretty that's quite a bit. But crazier things have definitely happened. Naperville can definitely come back if they really just take charge. This second half, really they have to keep retain possession of the ball and then really force territory gains. Even if they have to go on defense, the territory is really what matters the most. If they can keep their defensive line strong and then force themselves up the field, with a couple good kicks can definitely do that. Once they're within range of a try, then they can really wreak some damage on the Cobras. Anyways, the Cobras are ready to kick off, and they send it. Looks like there'll be a bit of a confusion. The kick didn't go 10 meters before one of the Cobras touched it, so it'll go back. Anyways, it looks like Naperville will opt for a scrum at the 50 to restart the play. Anyways, the Naperville scrum half feeds it into the scrum.
So it's like prophecy.
Anyways, they'll go in. Looks like some pretty strong counter-rucking from the Cobras, although Naperville will keep possession of it. And the 10 will get a pretty strong boot off there. He'll get on far before the fullback from the Cobras. Number 15 will take the ball. Looks like he fakes. He's done a pretty good job. He's gotten quite a few meters under his belt. And he's pulling up with the ball, and he goes down. Finally, he's tackled down, but then there's a good pass out, and the Cobras will then, once again, with possession of the ball, make quite a few meters off of pretty much every phase that they have. And then they'll get a penalty. They'll get the penalty, and from the side, Naperville really has to watch what they're doing in the scrums. They're doing a great job, but they've really got to watch that. Anyways, the Cobras will take it, and they'll take full advantage. They've got some really fast guys there. They get the ball, and they start running, but it looks like Cobras pass it down to the ground, and there'll be a knock-on. Anyways, there'll be another scrum. Once again to Naperville. Taps it on the hooker's arm. Places it in the tunnel. The tunnel will pass it back. And he'll whip it back. It looks like they're going to try another kick. The 10 gets it off. It's a nice deep kick, but it will go into touch around the 40. Looks like the 43-meter line, but the Sir will call it back. Right, this is what Naperville needs if they're going to want to start catching back up. They need some territory. They'll take the penalty and they'll kick it into touch. It'll go in once again around the 44-meter line. Anyways, there'll be a line out. Naperville will take the line out. It's taking a little while for them to get set up. The Sir is kind of explaining where everybody needs to be. Anyways, the Cobras will steal the line out. Pass kind of goes their direction. The wind is picking up just a little bit. The Cobras are going to go. They're running hard through the line. Looks like they're going to just take it through, not going to pass it out. The 12 is going. Steps a little bit. He breaks through one, and he breaks through the 14, and he goes in, and he places it down. And there'll be another try for the Cobras. Really, the Cobras' speed is what's killing them. And then, if those two players had tackled him down just a little bit earlier, that really wouldn't have happened. And then it would have given the the Naperville athletes time to reset and try to get in their line and set it back up.
Help stabilize. I mean, nothing bad.
Anyways, they'll go in, and Naperville's coach will take a knee and try to explain anything that needs to be said to them. Naperville is still playing hard, but the Cobras are they just have that speed. It's really hard to cope with that. It's just like people are running into you really fast, and especially until you've gotten used to it, it is difficult to train yourself to see this guy that's running full speed at you, and then go in for the tackle, and then bring him down. Anyways, another difficult kick way off to the side for the Cobras. The approach, lefty, sends it up, and yeah, can't quite make it to the uprights. Anyways, 34-5, Cobras are up. Cobras are definitely dominating this one, keeping control of the ball a lot of the time, and then doing a great job of poaching, jackling, utilizing the penalties to even regain the ball when they don't have it. Anyways, Naperville comes back to the 50, ready for the kickoff. Scrum half gets it. He decides to grubber it again. It does cross the 10-meter line, although the Cobras will get possession of it. It doesn't look like Naperville could quite get a hand on it.
Spread it, spread. Boys. Onto it. Remember we said. Set. Spread.
That's not JV, right?
And there will be a scrum at the 50 for the Cobras. It looks like the Sir is claiming that there was a no drop kick for the kickoff. I'm not sure if that call has ever been made before. I've certainly never seen it in the past couple of years that I've been broadcasting. Anyways, there'll be a scrum.
Right in.
I just say I think that's
At the 50, the Cobras have already shown that they can definitely use 50 meters. And, it's quite the sprint, but they can definitely weave in and out of traffic, and they can really take it in. But if Naperville can peel off this scrum fast enough and set up their defense, they could definitely get the 8-man stop right there. And it looks like he'll go through, but he's finally brought down. He only makes a couple meters past the gain line right there. Gets it off to the fly half. He'll get it off to the inside center. Naperville stops him only a couple meters after. They'll pass it off. The Cobras are not quite making that run that they were used to, although they break through the line that time. The 8-man gets through. They're trying to stop him. They got a hand on his jersey, but he can't quite bring him down. He's going. It looks like there are a lot of men in there. It looks like a maul. Nope, not quite. Maul hasn't quite been formed. The Sir will stop the play. It looks like somebody might have gotten their head just a little bit dinged. Anyways, time will go off for him. Both teams go over to the side.
Hey, Colin.
He doesn't know. Hey, yeah, good work. I was like, I need that name out.
All right, it looks like he gets up and he's looking pretty much just about fine. So the game will restart. And it looks like there'll be a scrum right about the 5 meter line to the Cobras. You know, this close, it really gives Naperville a chance to consolidate all of their defensive players. You know, there's not a whole lot of room for the Cobras to try to weave in and out like they've been doing for their um, several unanswered tries. So this might be what Naperville needs to get that stop right off the scrum and then see if they can't uh, get possession. And then Naperville has shown that they have a pretty good boot. They have a pretty good placement for when they do have to kick, when they can get possession. So if they can just stop this Cobra, I mean, I imagine that the Cobras are going to use the 8-man pick. Their back line isn't exactly set up for much of an anything right now. But once they do go, if Naperville can stop, then they could definitely make some spicy things happen, off this next play. Although, the Cobras have definitely shown that they are more than capable of doing some pretty crazy things. Anyways, it's entered the tunnel, and the scrum half will take it, and he'll pass it to the fly half, who will then take it into contact. Naperville does a pretty good job. They stop him. He doesn't make any more meters after contact. And it looks like they'll go for a forward crash. And they'll go forward. They'll only make a couple of inches off of that one. So it looks like there are a lot of Naperville players trying to get in on that tackle, trying to force him back. Goal line defense is definitely where your defense is the most important. And the try will be held up by Naperville. And it'll be a goal line drop for Naperville to restart this. If they can get a good, nice, deep kick off of this, and then sprint after it, really get some fast runners after that, they can definitely make something happen off of this. It's happened time and time again for other teams. So this might be where Naperville starts it up. Anyways, that's a good kick. Gets it down almost to the 40-meter line, but the 18, sorry, for the Cobras will take it. Although Naperville will sprint up and tackle him down after only a few meters into the run. The Cobras are definitely looking like they're trying to hit hard now the defensive line. They're doing a good job with their forward, smashing it through. The 13 gets it, runs into contact. It goes in. It looks like he's going in at the same point. If the Cobras tried to wing it out the back, they could definitely make a lot of meters off that.
Try.
Looks like there'll be yet again a just a bit of an injury. So the time will go off, and both teams will have a chance to regroup and catch a little bit of a breather. Especially the Cobras definitely might need a breather. It looks like they might be getting a little bit more tired. They've had some pretty awesome runs and they've had some pretty awesome plays, but you can only do that for so long. Then you start tiring down, and Naperville has definitely seemed to be hanging on for the most part of this game. So, um, you know, things can really happen. I guess I've kind of said that a lot in the past couple of minutes, but it is kind of true that you know Cinderella stories are real. Anything can happen really in this game. Any bounce of the ball, and you know you can take home the W or the L really just based off of that. And Naperville is behind by 20 some points, but that's nothing that could their fate hasn't been decided just quite yet. There's plenty of time for them to come home with the W. Anyways, it looks like the injured player will be able to kind of walk off the field. So the play will restart with a scrum. Anyways, it'll take a little bit to restart. And it'll be a Naperville scrum. You know, anytime that you're inside your 22, really the only thing that you should be looking is where to kick, because you know the Cobras are devastatingly fast, like I've said before. And you know, if you're caught there and they get the poach with it, they're very good at jackling the ball out of a ruck. Then you're pretty much inviting them to run in for a try. But it looks like Naperville will keep possession of it. They don't go for the kick. They decide to go for a couple of forward crashes. They bring it into contact, but they keep possession of it. They get it off. They pass it out. They try to get it to the wing. They get down. It looks like the ball goes up. Not sure who has possession of it. It looks like Naperville will retain it, though. He goes in. The number 3 for the Cobras will go in for a very good tackle. He'll bring him to the ground. Anyways, they'll get it down. It looks like there's going to be another crash forward. He takes 2 people, finally gets brought down. Naperville will take it again. It looks like he's going to try to see a hole, gets smashed down. He does make a couple meters before finally brought down by 2 more tacklers. Still a bit of a low pass, but they retain possession. This is a bit of a scorcher pass. The 8-man will go in, try to see if he can't get it, but the 13 for Cobras will get possession of the ball. But once again, the whistle will go before the try could be placed down. Anyways, it looks like another one of the Naperville players will get a little bit dinged, so time will go off for just a little bit longer.
What happened?
In a game like this, a lot of times, you know, a player will just get a little bit dinged, and because the rules are so strict about safety, um, a lot of times the littlest things can get you walked off the field. So, um, you know, a lot of times it might be just a little bit overkill, but you know,
So I go to
hardly anybody ever really gets, you know, so badly dinged that you know they even have to stay off for most of the game. And it looks like the player on the field right now is pretty fine. Looks like it's a lower body. Trainer is you know helping them out, and so it gives once again it just gives both teams time to regroup, catch their breaths, figure out what they want to do next, and then move forward.
Yes.
All right, and it looks like the player will be able to walk off the field on his own weight, so it really wasn't that too bad at all. But yep, just you know, per regulations, it's gonna have to just sit out for a little bit and then you know walk it off and you know just kind of breathe it off. Anyways, the sir will restart the play, and he'll give it to Naperville once again, and it looks like it'll be another scrum. You know, scrums are one of the most difficult parts of rugby to watch, broadcast, or even you know play. Um, you know, having to push against another team, you know, for you know a couple seconds, you know, there's a lot of sweat, a lot of heavy breathing. It's kind of a little bit gross, but you know, and it's you know it's tough, but and it's also kind of boring. You know, I'm just gonna say that, but um, you know, you have to restart the game somehow. And a lot of times, you know, both teams can use a scrum really well. You know, you pull in a lot of their bigger guys in the forward pack, and then you know you get it off the back like they just did, and you can cut past and you can make a lot of meters like he's doing right now. and the 9 will get it off, but he passes it, and it looks like one of the Cobra players was just in front of it. He swipes it down, but the ball will retained by Naperville. They'll get it to one of their forwards. He'll spin into contact, make quite a few meters before finally being brought down. Some powerful counter rucking. The Naperville is definitely not going to take any chances with this one. They get it off, and Naperville will get the run. 15 will try to go in for the tackle. He gets pushed off, finally brings him down. He's almost at the try line. Naperville is finally catching up with him. But it looks like there'll be yet another penalty called. There's advantage for Naperville. Kind of bumble it forward. There was a Cobra player behind him, so he kind of fumbles the ball forward. And it'll go back to the advantage. All right, he sets the mark and they go in. Looks like there's a tackle right off the mark. Cobras did a great job getting up and then not letting them get any meters off of that. And it looks like the ball will go into touch. As it looks like it'll be yet another line out. It looks like a ball from the other field will have been kicked on. So one of the alternates will have to get it and sprint back off pretty quickly. Anyways, a bit of a confusion. The coach will walk onto the field to kind of clarify something. It looks like it'll be a bit of a water break for both teams. Looks like time will come back on and the line out will be thrown by Naperville. Naperville is finally finding themselves in the Cobras territory. See if they can't make something spicy. Get a saucy play off of this one. Anyways, the thrower gets it. But there is a false throw right before, and there'll be a penalty awarded to the Cobras. Yeah, when you're throwing the ball out of the ruck, or when you're throwing it for a line out, you can't fake the ball coming out. You can once you start that forward motion, you have to release the ball. You have to finish your throw. You can't stutter with it. Even if you are just trying to regain your balance, or whatever you're supposed to be doing. Anyways, the Cobras will get it, and after they run it in, it looks like there'll be a knock on. So Naperville will get another scrum, which is definitely good for them with these uncontested scrums. There's a lot that you could do, like I said earlier, and they could really make a play. Once they're already well inside the 22. If they can just make one of those runs that they made at the beginning of the game, they could just find that sauce that they had before. They could really make something happen. It was a scrum half will take it back. Another high pass to the fly half. He'll do a switch pass to the 12. He'll bring it in, making a lot of meters. He goes down. Some pretty strong rucking and counter rucking. As he gets to the fly half, it looks like he tries to bring it in, but Cobras with a quick tackle brings him down before he could quite get the ball off. They got the ball off, but The Sir will give yet another penalty. Looks like he's calling the offsides. Anyways, Naperville will restart. Looks like they're going to give it to their 4, going for a forward crash. He goes down, makes a couple meters like he was supposed to. He's good positioning there, good placement of the ball, doesn't get stolen. Anyways, they'll give it to the 12 who'll try to run it in. But the Cobras, with their aggressive tackling, are not really letting them get past the gain line. Naperville gets it to their 10, tries to get it down, but the Cobras are on him like white on rice, and he's really not letting any passes get off. Naperville's stuck in pretty much the same spot. They're trying to get something started, but the Cobras are just so fast, and they get the interception, and they'll run it down, and he's going. Looks like Naperville's struggling to keep up, but the 13 is gone. He doesn't even have to run in that fast for the end, and he'll touch it down right in the middle for that try. It's yet another try for the Cobras. It's just looking that speed that the Cobras have is definitely that massive advantage. That's really what's killing Naperville right now. Um, they even twice there in those in the last 3 phases, Naperville was trying to pass it, and one of the Cobras was there to just sprint up and block the pass, and then finally that last one, instead of blocking it, they just kind of intercepted it and then ran it down. So I think if the Cobras if the Cobras are that fast, the Naperville definitely has to try to give themselves more space, get deeper before they try that pass. When you're that close to the try line, you definitely try to crash it in. That seems like the most logical thing to do. Just crash it in again and again until finally you make it. But sometimes you do need just that little bit of space. Give yourself a little bit of breathing room. Pass it out from the ruck. You know, there's no way that they could run that fast. Give yourself just that little extra time to make a decision. Get that good pass off. Um, so the kick will not be good. So the score will remain 39 Cobras to Naperville's 5. With the Cobras just slowly racking up points on the scoreboard, the outlook isn't too great for the Naperville athletes. But at this point, they've been playing great rugby, and I think they definitely deserve kudos. And I want to be opposed to adding a couple of points on the board for that. They've been doing great rugby. They really haven't been you know they've been acting like the score is still 0-0, and that's really what any rugby team should be playing. Any point you should be playing. It's tied out, and you need to leave it all out on the field. As the Cobras get it, they offload. Good tackle by Naperville. Naperville is still staying aggressive. They get it down to a forward. There's a bit of a slow step, but he'll drift across pretty much half the field. He'll go in. Naperville will tackle him. They're not making it past the gain line here. Naperville will get the poach, and he'll go in. He'll get tackled down for making a couple meters. They'll pass it out deep. Number 16 will go in, but Cobras will be there to strip it away and once again regain possession. But he's tackled down some good, and Naperville will take it and make several more meters. They'll finally be running fast into contact. It's good for them. Some quick, fast, strong support. But looks like the Cobras thought that he already had his hands on the ball, and he'll go in. But a penalty will be given. Cobras right there. They were kind of trying to go for the ball. The scrum not the scrum. The ruck was already formed before the Cobras could quite get their hands on it. So the penalty will go to Naperville, and it'll give them 10 meters. Get something going. Be interesting to see if they decide to go for the line out, and it looks like they will. So he'll kick it in touch, but he can't quite make it, but he will make it past the 15. 15 will have to chase it. He'll go into touch. Goes into touch just before the try zone. The line out at the 5-meter line. Looks like Naperville will be getting the line out. Anyways, this time the throw is getting a little bit of a tip how to, when you get it up, you have to just send it forward. And, you can't stutter there. Last time that really did ding them. Anyways, they get it. That was a good line out. Solid catch. They get it to the 13, who passes it down to the 12. Kind of fumbles it forward. There's a bit of a knock on there. But Cobras will get it, so they'll just receive a knock on advantage. Anyways, the scrum half will get it, and they'll pass it down to the 12. He'll get it down out to the end of the line. It looks like he's breaking through one. He got through two tackles, but he's finally brought down. Looks like he tries to offload it, but and it looks like it'll go into touch. Oh, looks like it once again it'll be a Naperville line out. Looks like Naperville did a great job. They got the Cobras got that fast run going. They were going down the sideline, but Naperville did a great job of forcing them out into touch before they could really make any true damage. And Naperville will take possession of the ball once again, and once again it will be in the Cobras territory, which is always good to see a team making advantage of that. As long as you're in the other team's territory, they can't do too much damage. Especially if you keep your defense nice and solid and don't allow any breakaways. There's a high pass, but it gets to him. Another long pass. Naperville. Oh, he tackled him before he had his hands on the ball. So there'll be a penalty awarded to Naperville for that. Once again, you can't tackle anybody if they don't have the ball. So he goes for the kick. That was a nice boot into touch. And it'll be a line out just past the 22 line. Naperville's been doing a pretty good job with these past couple lineouts, really making great headway with, passing it down the line, making those forward meters. Last time, even just a couple minutes ago, with almost the same positioning, there was a bit of a klutz up with with an interception. But once again, if they just get a little bit deeper, those interceptions really shouldn't be able to be happening. If you just get the passes a little bit deeper, you won't make quite as many forward meters. But at this point, what's more important is keeping possession of the ball and really getting that field position so that later when you see that hole, you can take it and really capitalize on it. Anyways, they'll keep the line out. And the penalty will go towards the Cobras. Looks like there was a penalty in the lineup. And there'll be a talking penalty. Only the captain is technically allowed to talk to the sir. And if you're complaining too much about any penalty, then you could get dinged, like just happened. So there'll be another back 10. Anyways, the Cobras get it off to their 16. He runs in, but there's a great tackle from the Naperville 8-man. It looks like he goes down. The Cobras will get it down the line, but he'll run it in. 10 is fast. He's really going down. Naperville is struggling to keep up with him. Oh, there's a bit of a high tackle there. Looks like he might have released, but does the whistle go off? Yes, it does. Oh, it looks like he's calling for one of the players forward to explain something to him. Yeah, you definitely can't be tackling around the shoulders or higher. That'll definitely get you dinged every time. There's no way that you can be doing with that.
Will, what time? What you got?
Time will come back on though, and it'll be kicked into touch. Looks like the sir is going to bring it back to an advantage. And the Cobras will have possession. Looks like they're going to tap it through. The sir is making certain that the Naperville are behind the 10-meter line, making sure that they're completely back so that they don't get dinked yet again. Anyways, the 10 will get it, pass it out to the 14. And the 14 will break through some tackles. He'll go through again, and he'll touch it down. Once again, just those quick steps, stepping through the tackles. Naperville really has to make their tackles if they're going to want to stop these tries from coming down. Anyways, it is supposed to be 30-minute halves, but what with the time going off, pretty often in this game, it might be a couple more minutes before the sir decides to uh, cut it off. Anyways, the Cobras will have another conversion to make. He sets it down. It is generally down the center, although he's kind of taking it a little bit farther back. So it'll be interesting to see if he can send this up and through. This looks like an easy kick, but sometimes it can be difficult, especially for a lefty kicker, a left-footed kicker. He approaches, he kicks it, and it's not quite far enough. It does look like he's kind of chopping his leg though before that kick, but still a great kicker. Anyways, that is the final whistle for the end of the game. The score will come out to 44 for the Cobras and Naperville at 5. Both teams really leaving it all out there on the field. Although the Cobras really just getting several of those tries, just really quick runs. Those quick runs for the Cobras, and Naperville kind of struggling sometimes to stay as a line and get those tackles, even if you have to put 2 or 3 guys in there. A lot of times, just letting them blitz through. Anyways, it was still a great game to watch. Lots of great passes from both teams. Lots of great plays, and some interesting calls from the Sirs I really haven't ever seen before. But overall, great match to watch. The Cobras will be named the U15 middle school champs for the state, which is great to watch. Definitely a great moment for them. Just one of those things that really a lot of people don't get to see a lot, and it's just kind of awesome. Anyways, it's been a great match to broadcast, and it's one of those things. I never thought I'd really be watching a middle school broadcast or a middle school rugby game, but it's been a lot more exciting than I really thought. Um, the middle school honestly does a much better job with integrating the forward and the back pods, not really always relying on one thing, really. The Cobras did a great job of that, crashing, drawing in defenders, and then sprinting it through. They had excellent sprints, excellent runs, made a lot of breakaways. Um, I definitely think that we'll be seeing a lot of these players later on in their respective clubs as, really great high school players. It'll be really great to see them in the years to come. Naperville, they were struggling a lot of it, but a lot of the match, but really they had great cohesion when they did have the ball and they were in the opposing territory. They did a great job of passing it down, running it up. A lot of times they were not quite as deep as they should have been, and a lot of times that would lead to an interception later. But overall, just great rugby. I've been saying. Anyways, I've been Malachi Martin, and this has been really great broadcasting this game.